All of you to take a minute, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Now keep your eyes closed. Imagine that you're sitting around a campfire, singing some songs with some family members, a few friends, and you hear the melodic strumming of a string instrument in the background. It sounds like a guitar, but it has a softer, more playful tone. And you're thinking, yep, it's the ukulele. You can open your eyes now. The ukulele is one of my most favorite instruments. I learned it by myself in high school. Senior year, we had a ukulele club, and I was the vice president, and that's where I learned. I had no prior experience, but it was really, really fun. I think it's just a really easy instrument to play, and there's a lot of rich history that goes behind the instrument as well. The ukulele embodies Hawaiian musical culture, but it's also grown to amass a wider audience in contemporary American society today. So first, what makes the ukulele a ukulele? Because you've seen the little guitars, or is that really a ukulele? I don't know. What sets this apart from its older brother, the guitar, is that this has 4 strings, tuned to G, C, E, and A, versus the guitar, which has 6. That's why a lot of people find it easier to play, because there's only 4, so there's less to keep track of. The fretboard, which is this bass structure here, it's smaller, it's not as wide, so it's easier to maneuver. And also the strings are, if you can tell, they're kind of plastic and nylon, so they're softer, easier on the finger pads versus the steel strings of the guitar. And most ukuleles are made with, or the classical ones, are made with Hawaiian koa wood. And the reason why that's used, as noted by Ken Cameron, who's the owner of Hilo Guitars Ukuleles, is it's used for its density, its resonance, and you can't tell in this one because it's not koa, but you can see the beautiful golden curls embedded in the grain of the wood, which is really nice. The ukulele itself comes in a lot of different sizes. The most common one is the soprano, which is this one. It's the smallest one, and it has kind of a higher, cute range, I'd say. And then the bigger you go, the more it starts to sound like a guitar. There's a warmer, more deeper tone. So you'll go from a soprano, which is this big, to concert, and then tenor, and then bass or baritone. Then it's an actual guitar. But what's really nice about the instrument, I think Stephen Merritt, who is an artist in the indie pop group The Magnetic Fields, he put it quite nicely. It definitely sounds untrained, and therefore goes with untrained vocal styles. So you don't have to be the best singer or the best player. Your uke could be a little out of tune, but it still has such a nice sound to it that it doesn't really matter what your skill level is when you're playing. So now that you have a basic understanding of the instrument, how did this really come to be? What's the history behind all of this? Contrary to popular belief, this was not born in Hawaii. It actually has Portuguese roots. Its birthplace is in a little town in Portugal called Madeira. And in Madeira they have a really tiny 4-string instrument guitar and it was called a machete, or a machete. And in the context of late 1800s, so Hawaii was being colonized by Europeans, so they brought with them, the disease, so a lot of the Hawaiian native population started to dwindle down and die off. So they needed to import immigrants to work at the sugar plantations. So the story behind how this got to Hawaii, as backed by The Atlantic and Ukulele Magazine, is behind a man named Joe Fernandez. So Joe Fernandez is this Portuguese immigrant. He's on this little boat. He's really excited to get his life going. And around August of 1879, he sees Honolulu Harbor. He's so excited. He has a borrowed machete from his friend, and he just launches into this joyous song. And the way he plays it, it's not so much strumming, it's more of finger picking, and he's super, super good. I can't do it now. But it impresses all of the Hawaiians and the natives. So they decide to call it ukulele, which directly translates to jumping flea, because his hands look like a little jumping flea across the strings. So that's how it kind of was exposed to Hawaii, but transitioning to mainland states, how it gained popularity in the mainland U.S., was an event in 1915 called the Panama Pacific International Exposition in San Francisco. Basically, that event just kind of celebrated the completion of the Panama Canal, but the reason why it's so important is, as noted by Natural Museum of American History, so many people came. There were over 17 million attendees, over 24 different countries were featured. So that was when the ukulele was becoming really popular, and it had such a great exposure to such a massive audience. So a lot of people from all walks of life are able to kind of enjoy and see what the ukulele was all about. Now transitioning from kind of 1900s, 1800s to today, it's definitely kind of like ebbed and flowed in terms of popularity, but you can definitely see a resurgence, especially in like the 2000s and 2010s. As noted by National Association of Music Merchants, they reported a 54% jump in ukulele sales in 2013. So a lot of it is attributed to increased accessibility, affordability, celebrity esteem, and YouTube popularity. Accessibility, like this is super small, I can take it with me to the beach and I can kind of teach my friends. In terms of affordability, you can kind of get these on Amazon for like 60 to 100 depending on quality, and it's a lot cheaper compared to like a guitar, which if you want to get a nice one can cost up to like $200, $300. And then if you just look at today in terms of pop music today, just looking at artists like Eddie Vedder, he made a whole album just of ukulele songs, and that won a Grammy. And a lot of you might know this song by Train, Hey Soul Sister. It charted number 3, and it also won a Grammy. And just like a lot of different artists, Jack Johnson, George Harrison, he was the Beatle. He was a huge fan of the ukulele and like influenced Paul McCartney a lot in his songs. And then probably the most familiar song that you guys all know is "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" by Israel. I can't pronounce his last name. I won't even try. And the music kind of affects all of us, and it's easy for a lot of us to relate to. And just not looking at music too, just looking subtly into other pop culture and TV shows like the SpongeBob SquarePants theme songs and played by the ukulele. And if some of you watch Netflix, Bob's Burgers, that too. And then if you look really, really deeply in not just TV but online, I think that's where it really takes off. Because if you look at YouTube, all of us have access to it. And if we see one video of like a little child playing the ukulele, like I can do that. It kind of inspires us and motivates us. And probably the most famous YouTube artist, Jake Shimabukuro, he's really famous on YouTube too, and he has a quote. He says, "There's something about the ukulele that just makes you smile. It makes you let your guard down. It brings out the child in all of us." And I agree that though the ukulele may sound kind of light and kind of carefree, you can distinctly hear the richness in the tone and the quality of the instruments. Through that pure sound, you can almost sample a taste of the culture that it's been experienced over the years, and Portuguese roots and like the Hawaiian traditions. And yes, the instrument may have changed over time and how it's played and the audience that it's played to, but one thing definitely remains the same is that the instrument brings joy to all of those who hear it. It's no matter where you come from, if you hear just this tone and this instrument, it is joy, it is timeless, and it's the ukulele.